Okay, and welcome back to Hammond's Upholstery. We've got a project here that's similar to one I've done previously, but it seems to have been very popular. The previous one being replacing the elastic webbing in a sofa with a leather sofa with fixed seat cushions. So it seems a lot of you have got issues with this elastic webbing going slack. So this one is a sofa with elastic webbing in the seat but loose cushions, so it's simpler to do than the one with the fixed seat cushions. I would always advise, if you're looking to buy a new sofa, if you want something that's going to last you and keeps costs down, don't buy the sofas with fixed seat cushions. They're harder to work on, harder to repair than sofas with loose seat cushions. So when I say loose seat cushions, you have a seat platform, which I'll show you in a minute, and then you have a cushion that sits on it. So if you need to replace the cushion seat covers, it's easy to do. If I need to do a repair on the seat platform, because in this case it's not as supportive as it used to be, it's easier to do. And you can also update your sofa easier by just changing the seat covers, etc., which is a lot harder to do on the fixed seat cushions. Not to say you can't do it, it can be done, but it's harder to do. So anyway, let's get on and I'll show you what's going on with this seat. So like I said, it has elastic webbing in it. We're going to go through not replacing, and I'll explain why. Right, so here's the sofa. Here's one half of it. Okay, that's an arm, that's the seat platform. The seat cushions sit on the seat platform. And what's happened is the elastic webbing that they've used 3-inch elastic webbing, which is fine, but they've left big gaps between the elastic webbing. This half isn't as bad as the other half, actually. The other half had about a minimum of 4-inch gaps between the webbing. So whoever did this half of this sofa was a different person. They've actually put a bit more webbing in it. So what I'm going to do is put an additional elastic web here between these. See, there's no canvas either. That's a no-no. Additional web between here, and then between this gap here, which goes side to side, I'm going to put additional 2 webs in. So we end up with a fully webbed seat, then the canvas, and then the foam back in it. So there you go. I need to get this ripped up. Need to leave that unzipped. So this sofa is relatively straightforward to work on because the arms unbolt from, let's see if I can show you the fixing. See that bolt there? I think there's 5 bolts holding the arm on. Then the arm comes off, and then you have the back and then the seat platform, which are fixed together. Some of them even come with the backs that unbolt, so then you just have a seat platform to work on, which makes them easier. So changing the webbing is relatively straightforward, or in this case I'm adding additional webbing. It's getting to the webbing is the trick. You know, trying to be as careful as I can so I'm not having to replace or damage any fabrics. So first off, I'm going to unbolt the arm, and then I'm going to unpick this black bottom cloth. I'm going to leave it attached on the front edge, but unpick it on the other 3 sides, because the fabric and everything on this front edge can stay on here. It's just the sides that it needs removing on, so I can peel it back and then gain access to the seat. So let's crack on with that. Right, let's get the arm off of this. Okay, so that's everything unpicked that I need to get unpicked now. So that was the bottom cloth. It's pretty much unpicked on 2.5 sides. I've had to unpick the front edge so I could get this side off. So there you can see the webbing. This one is actually got more webbing in it than the other seat over here. The other one, the gaps between the webs was at least 4 to 5 inches. So I was able to put 2 additional webs between, but this one's got more webbing in it. And the customer did say to them that it was one part of the sofa they were having more of an issue with. But anyway, regardless of that, I'm going to take the foam out and put an additional web through every one of these gaps. 2 on the side to side, 1 in the front to back. And then we're going to have a nice firm seat. I'm going to put some canvas or remnant of fabric, should I say, but I'm going to use it like canvas over the top and put the seat back together. So I'll just get this stood up and get it onto the trestles, and then I can crack on. So I could take the webbing out that's in there, the original webbing, but I'm going to leave it in there because it's not doing any harm. If anything, it's going to add a bit of stability and strength to the seat anyway. So I don't see there being any issues with that. Blanket out of the way. Right, let's pull this seat out and you'll see better what's gone on. But be careful getting this seat peeled out because I don't want to damage it. I would just be creating more work for myself if I did that. So there you can see I've peeled it back. I didn't need to unpick the front edge because it's just laying down there. And there's the foam. You can see where the lack of canvas has started to mean that the foam is getting rubbed on the sharp edges of the wood here and cutting it. So putting the canvas on there is going to prevent that. It does give a bit more strength to the seat as well. But like I said, this part of the sofa was obviously to me, been upholstered by a different upholsterer because of the webbing that's in it. This has got more webbing in it than the other half had, so we're off to a better start with this one. Get that out of the way. So this is the elastic webbing that I'm going to use, 2-inch elastic webbing, and I'm going to put an additional one through each one of these gaps. So just to make that clear, the last one I did, the gaps between the 3-inch webbing that I put in were wide enough for me to put 2 pieces of that. So that's a minimum of 4 inches gap. So whoever upholstered the other half saved themselves some time, because they would have been on piecework by putting less webbing in the seat. But the downside of that, it would have been fine for a few months, but that's it before the seat had gone weak. So I'm just going to weave this through opposite to, yeah, they haven't even, they see we've got on top, so they haven't even weaved the webbing, but I will. We also don't have to be cautious not to put too much webbing in as well, because you may or may not be surprised. This webbing, by the time you've got 10 straps going across here under tension, it can bow these rails because the amount of tension that it's under. So, but the last one was okay, so this one will be okay as well. So I'll get this webbed up and come back to you before I put the canvas on, so you can see what the webbing looks like once it's all in there. So back shortly. Okay, so that's webbed. It's like a trampoline now. No issues there with that. So let's get some canvas on here. Just use this bit of vinyl remnant. And then that, other than putting it back together, is what the job is, so to speak. So it's, the job was to add some additional webbing or replace the webbing, sort the seat out so it's a proper seat platform again now, which it now is. So then all that stripping and so on to get to be able to do that, and now put it back together. So there you go. But it's not a just job. So it is just replace the webbing, but to just replace the webbing, I've got to strip the furniture to do the job properly. So there you go. And took 20 minutes to add that additional webbing, but it's the time it takes to get to that. The only way we could really make this seat any more durable would be realistically to not have springs or webbing in it at all. And I have done it before, where we've taken the webbing out of the seat and I've put a sheet of 18mm plywood in rather than any webbing or springs, so it's a solid platform. So you're never going to have the issue of the webs or the springs causing problems, but it does mean that your cushions are going to feel very different sat on a solid platform to a platform with any sort of give in it. So you have to take that into account. So just staple that round, trim it off to suit. The fact of putting canvas on will add some durability to the seat as well. But again, it's just laziness on the part of the manufacturers that they don't do that. There is a bit of a cost saving, but like you've seen there, I've just used a remnant of fabric, so the cost is nothing. It's just the time it's taken to put that on. That didn't take long at all, did it? So put the seat back together, how it came apart. I do get asked to do this sort of thing in the customer's house. Theoretically, I could do it in the customer's house, but I choose not to, because if I do come across any issues, you know, broken frame or needing more work than I thought, which I couldn't predict before I get into it, it's a lot easier to do that at the workshop than trying to do that at the customer's house. Just be careful tucking that through the back there, because there are some staples down there. I don't want them in my fingers. Right, so I'll just get that put back together. Got a good solid seat in that now, same as the other half of the sofa. And I'll come back to you when I've got this stapled off. Won't be long now. So there we have it, back together. Good solid seat. I'm not going to let go of this on there because it might damage the cloth, but it's certainly a lot firmer than it was. Relatively simple to do with this sofa because the arm unbolted and it just left the seat and the back. If it was a sofa with two arms that don't unbolt, then it becomes a more complicated issue because we've still got to release the fabric on the three edges, the two arms and the back. So to do that, we have to then start unpicking arms, outside backs, etc. So it does depend on case by case. So you cannot presume that your sofa is going to be as simple as this one to do. But once you're in there, the replacing or adding additional webbing is a simple process. And a little bit of security by just doing the job properly, putting the webbing in, weaving the webbing through, and then putting the canvas and so on it gives you a far more durable seat, which should last a good few years. And it comes back to what I said right at the beginning of this, because this has loose cushions in it, it makes the job easier than the previous video where we had fixed seat cushions. A lot more work involved, but the principle's the same once you get into it. So if you have this to do at home and you think your sofa is manufactured like this, there you go, you're armed with a bit more information. Or when you get the quote from your upholsterer that you think it's just, can you do the webbing, can you replace them? A lot of people think the webbing can be replaced from the underside by taking the bottom cloth off because they can see the webbing. No, the webbing is on top of the rails, it's not attached to the undersides. And attaching it, I have seen it done before where people have attached the webbing to the underside of the rails and put a piece of foam in it to make up the void. It's all very bad. Do the job properly, do it right in the first place. That's our motto here. As always, these videos aren't meant to be instructional. It's just to show you what's going on here in the workshop. But if you take something away from it and you've learned something and you found it interesting, that's all good. That's what these videos are about. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe. Trying to build the channel up a little bit, and hopefully I'll have something of interest to post for you next one. My next job is a bench seating for a bar or club, so that's got button backs on it. I may show you some buttoning because I don't think you've seen that before in the next one, so hopefully that shouldn't be too long. But for now, thanks again. See you in the next one. Bye bye.